Screw your freedom.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Well, hey, folks, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. We are live on Patreon and Patreon only. I was thinking, what do I call this video? I'm thinking, it's Thinkin Thursday. Stinking Thinkin Thursday. What a wild, wild ride. Get your questions into Jolene now because I'm going to take the first half hour. You guys get the bottom half of the hour to complete the circuit. Monday through Friday, if you're on Patreon, you get to join us live. No extra cost. Your $2 a month membership gets you all access when we go live on Patreon. So here we are, folks. What's happening out there? Yeah, it's hit the fan, has it not? We got a big fight, folks. It's going both ways. We, you and I, the people, are fighting back. You and I are prepped, and a lot of people are getting prepped now, folks. They know there's going to be food shortages. They know there's energy issues. They know there are serious problems with law. So it is time to get prepared, and it is time to take action. Unbelievable that people, folks, are now, well, they're picketing Disney. You bet. They're picketing Disney. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Americans are waking up and it's boycott Disney time. Now, not in Florida, folks, but in Burbank, California, at Disney headquarters. Most people think of Disney as either Disneyland, LA, or Disney World, Florida. Literally most people in America think of Disney World because that's the bigger park and there's more attractions and there's Epcot and blah, 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 Disney. But yeah, it's actually all ran out of LA, Burbank, right? So a crowd of mostly peaceful protesters. And when we speak of, conservatives and we say mostly peaceful, we mean that there's no violence going on, right? They gathered in front and they called and chanted and said it's time to boycott Disney, right? Because a leaked Zoom call showed Disney executives openly admitting they add sexual content in order to groom children. That is filthy. It's disgusting. And it's the same shit that that's United States teachers are doing by introducing all this crap in school. It's sexualizing and grooming them for whatever they want them to believe. And folks, it's easy to see exactly what's going on. Well, parents have figured it out, right? LaToya Ravenous said to her team, right? It's not at all secret the gay agenda they have. They regularly add queerness to children's programming. Unbelievable. So good for parents standing up. It is on, folks. People have figured it out, have they not? I mean, honestly, you've heard of Cracker Jack, right? Cracker Jack. No, it's not a white cracker. It's Cracker Jack. Caramel-coated popcorn snack with peanuts in a surprise package in the box. Well, now it's Cracker Jill. That's right. They just can't leave anything alone, folks. And my thing is, if you want to go woke, go right ahead. And I don't care. Woke is going to get nothing but broke, right? Cracker Jill, because they want gender equity. Why not just invent a new snack? No, they take the old one. It's kind of like Aunt Jemima. I grew up with the old Aunt Jemima symbol, and I never thought anything wrong of it. And then it changed to some Duncan Hines, Betty Crocker looking lady, but she was black as Aunt Jemima. And now it's nothing. Now there is no Aunt Jemima. Now it's a Pearl Milling Company. I won't buy their shit because they went woke, right? I know Why don't they just get the village people and have them do all the marketing for all the products and all, because you got all the genders, all the races, you got all the fruitiness, all the rainbow, everything. Village people, yeah, YMCA, right? Why not go that way? Just have one band, one group, one representation for the whole world, right? And I always liked that as a kid, believe it or not, the village people. Even as a kid, I knew those were some Fruit Loops, but they sure put out some fun music, right? It didn't change me because they didn't push their crap on people. It was just silliness. Now they push their crap on people. They do. So, what are they pushing on people? Well, they're pushing their abortion shit. Texas fires back. Oklahoma follows suit. Right? In Florida, oh yeah, they want to push their stuff. And they said, okay, parents have rights. Parents have rights. And Ohio is following suit. Well, yesterday, Texas said, you know what? We're putting all the illegal immigrants that Biden is dumping in our state, we're going to charter buses and send them to Washington, D.C. And so he is. And following suit, Governor Ron DeSantis of the great state of Florida says he is going to put on buses, illegal immigrants, and dump them in Delaware. Delaware. That's right. Hey, illegals, get on the bus. We're sending you to Joe Biden's home because he's your good buddy. Love it, folks. When we fight back, you and I, not violence, not glamorizing violence or inciting it, not like, Mad Maxine Waters. That's not what I'm doing. When we fight back politically, when we think about it, never before have conservative, tax-paying, hard-working, responsible conservative people been so involved in politics. Well, we are all becoming involved now, not just at the local school board meeting where we've been called what? Domestic terrorists, but at the state level, federal level, everywhere, folks. When we fight back, this is what happens. Right? Our public servants demand our rights, demand they observe the restrictions. Only vote for real candidates, not the lesser of two evils. Expose these liars for what they are and never quit, folks. That's just it. Never quit, never go like, oh, we're not getting anywhere. Never quit, right? And we can force our political representatives to obey us, and we can push them in the correct direction. I never believed that I would see this much. Frankly, honestly, I didn't think any state legislature would pass anything, much less a governor follow it. Certainly not something as crazy as the abortion issue. I thought the heartbeat law was incredible in Texas, and it is. Saying, hey, after 6 weeks, there's a heartbeat, that baby's alive. That's a human being right there. It's a developing human being the same way a newborn baby is not a 5-year-old, but it's a human being, and we know it is because they grow up, right? Fetus inside a mom, we know it's going to grow up into a human being. It's not going to come out as a camel or a dolphin or anything else. It's going to be a human. So it's a human when it has a heartbeat. Well, Oklahoma beat them. They said, yeah, we'll, right, hold my beer. No abortions. We're fighting back, folks. And it's incredible to see. It makes you think, right? It makes you think. Now, what makes you think when it comes to our other rights, like the right to keep the money you earn, or maybe the right to travel, right? Well, for some reason, jet fuel inventories have sank to a 17-year low. Well, they're saying airline tickets, the inflation there is going way up. Well, number one, I'm sick of these, I like to call them Nancy's, but I guess they're Karens, these Karen Nazis on airplanes. Well, they're saying that inventories of jet fuel have sunk to a 17-year low with all the lower air traffic out there because people can't go anywhere, can't afford to go anywhere, don't want to go a lot of places because you can't because of lockdowns and restrictions and screw the TSA and the whole bit. So how is it that airline fuel inventories, jet fuel, is lower than it's been in 17 years? right? The Russian fuel that we were told they're not going to buy anymore. Well, those ships that haven't sailed haven't got here. In other words, there were already ships on their way here, deals made, paid for. There's plenty of fuel. There's plenty of refineries. I haven't heard about fuel refineries in Texas or any of the Gulf states or any of the Eastern Seaboard or any of the Midwest being exploded by bombs and drones from Yemen. Haven't heard that. So why is it so low? Well, they promised us a week ago that diesel fuels were going to go to low lows. How is this possible, folks? With so many ships parked, so many jets grounded. Last time I was on a jet, folks, and it was a while ago, there were jets just parked. Just jet after jet parked at the airport. And I thought, well, that's an interesting sight. Jets are parked, ships are anchored, trains are derelict, just parked because they're not moving, because they're playing games with the system. And now there's not enough fuel. Tell me this isn't a manufactured crisis. Hey, we're 10 minutes into this program. Get your questions into Jolene, because again, I get the first half of the hour. You guys get the second half, and we'll round it off. Now, this is incredible. Gee whiz. We need an enemy, don't we? We need a boogeyman to blame everything on. Well, you and I, it doesn't matter whether it's Russia, or DC. We need to be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. We need all of that. We need to be fully prepared. But it's not just a temporary thing, what's going on with Ukraine and all these other problems. But the Pentagon has come out, you bet. And they said the Ukraine conflict can be at least measured in years. At least years. Well, what's more than years? Decades? We were told that the war on terror was going to go on the rest of our lives and never, ever end. Fascinating. Who are the terrorists, folks? Maybe we should ask, what is a terrorist? Well, a terrorist is someone who threatens or uses violence, or both, in order to accomplish a political goal. Are parents threatening and using violence in school boards? No, they're not. Is Antifa and BLM threatening and using violence? Yes, they did, and they do. They use fire, they throw things, they beat people, they intimidate them. Who's the terrorist and who's not? Right? Was Putin trying to put missiles, nuclear missiles, on the American border? Or was NATO threatening to put nuclear missiles on Russia's border, right? Who are the bad guys? Well, I guess we'll just have to let history tell us, right? But for the time being, this protracted Ukrainian conflict is going to go on for years and years and years. So I recommend getting prepared, folks, because we're going to have years and years of BS and problems, right? BS and problems. So we've got ships anchored. We've got jets. We're going to run out of jet fuel. Diesel fuel, we're going to run out of that. Well, oil tankers. I thought oil tankers weren't going to be on the seas because we've boycotted Russian oil. Well, oil tanker rates are now going to climb, folks. Well, why is that? Because not only do you not want Russian oil, you don't even want it delivered in a Russian tanker, right? So like the oil companies, shortages have been allowed by profit making in shipping, right? Making Russia the boogeyman is allowing shippers to cash in, claiming shortage of cargo space, while other companies refuse to allow Russian shippers to bring over non-Russian oil because they want to virtue signal and show that they hate Russia, right? We should be blaming the shortage of space, shipping space, on dock workers and other people who are hampering and holding up the supply line, the supply chains, people that aren't allowing peace talks to go in the direction they should, right? So people in DC, people in the European Union and NATO, they're refusing, folks, to allow progress. They're refusing, in my opinion, from what I see, they're refusing to allow progress. They want conflict, folks. It's all lies. It's all BS. They want to tie this up for years. They need to hide their problems, their mistakes, and their errors. That's what they're doing. They're lying, cheating, and stealing. For example, do I need to have more examples? I guess I do. Well, I just happen to be the guy who has lots of examples. It's not like I had to work real hard for it, folks, and dig for months and months and months. I've been working just since the last couple broadcasts. Let's see. There's a mayor who painted Black Lives Matter on the streets in front of the White House. I guess that kind of gives it away. That would be the mayor of New York. I'm sorry, the mayor of Washington, D.C. Well, she is now saying she never supported defunding the police. Really? I remember hearing that they were defunding the police in Washington, D.C., and the crime went skyrocketing up, and the people demanded to have a police force back. Not that the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police are anything to really brag about, not after what they did to protesters that were Trump-leaning. They allowed plenty of violence. Oh, yeah, look at that. There's a defund the police painted right in the street in Washington, D.C. Yeah, the mayor had nothing to do with that. Muriel Bowser. Sounds like a character off of Mario Brothers. It's the Bowser mayor. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. And I want to remind you, right? If you're old, the World Economic Forum and everyone has it out for you. Well, in Germany, they tried to get rid of you. Now, what is old? Old is relative. They're starting with 60 plus in Germany. Well, thank goodness the legislature said no, no, no. They were rejecting the Chancellor, Scholz of Germany. They rejected that stooge, right? They rejected the law, which would have required mandatory Jim Jones juice, but they're coming for us. They're coming for us, and we got to be moving at them. Right? That's how we need to do this. We just need to, because they're not quitting. I mean, the lunacy is so far off the hook, so far off the hook, you cannot imagine. President Trump had a motion to disqualify a Clinton-appointed judge, right? Because it's a case about Hillary Clinton. So the Hillary Clinton judge denied the motion to get the judge to stand down by the same judge that's had the motion filed against him. So this is how law, courts, and judges work for real. So last night, Judge Donald Middlebrooks announced he is going to deny President Trump's motion to approve Judge Middlebrooks, not approve the judge from the case, but remove the judge from the case. We may as well have judges prosecuting defendants from the bench. Wait, there was another DC judge, folks, that did just that to General Michael Flynn, prosecuting him from the bench. Folks, corruption and liars are at the very, very top in all branches of the government. The legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, all the way to the top. How can it not be high time for the people to rise up in peaceful protest? Right? Ketanji Brown Jackson passed. Someone who is lenient, above and beyond lenient to child sex predators. Child sex predators, very lenient. How is it, folks, that these people get away with it? How is it that they can push their agenda? It's unbelievable, folks. Unfreaking believable. Are you prepared, right? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Do you have a plan? It's incredible. I mean, where do we go? International, domestic, social, political, military, education. It's all effed up. Well, Let's go this direction. How about media? I mean, when I say shit has hit the fan, like the fan blade's spinning and blah, it just splatters the stuff on the wall and it's everywhere. Well, the shit we're seeing and dealing with is everywhere. It's on everything. Is it not? I mean, literally, am I talking out my ass? Am I making stuff up? Am I exaggerating grossly what's going on? The crazy freaking part is, no, I'm not. I don't have to make this shit up. It's out there. I don't have to look down just one little tiny avenue and find something wrong. It's every avenue and every facet of life is just covered in shit. And our watchdogs, the people that are supposed to inform us, media, it started out as newspapers. Then media grew. Media grew with radio, television, satellite communications, as well as newspaper and other forms of print. Free speech, it used to be this great thing that allowed us to what? To communicate facts, truth, and opinion. Well, they don't like that, and they've been controlling it. And the internet, folks, internet communications, internet media, almost got away from them. Almost. So they figured out they better crack down on that shit. They better crack down on YouTube and Twitter, and Facebook, Instagram. They better crack down on all that stuff. And so they have. But it looks like our complaints and the gross abuse finally, folks, met a little resistance, a little pushback against them in a meaningful way. And it comes in, of all things, in the form of Elon Musk buying the majority shareholder amount of Twitter's stock, almost 10%. Right? He's got the biggest amount. And so he joins the company's board of directors. And the liberals are losing their minds. And folks, Elon Musk, he attacks everybody. He's an equal opportunity a-hole, in my opinion. He gives everyone a hard time. You mess up, he's there pointing the finger. I like that. I'll point the finger at him too, because he can do some idiotic shit. Anyways, Elon Musk. And so the New York Times, folks, their top editor orders reporters to, quote, meaningfully reduce their Twitter usage, as if a couple of reporters using Twitter a little less is going to hurt Twitter. How about an outright ban of Twitter, New York Times? Why don't you guys just quit using it? How about every newspaper quit using Twitter and see if that makes a difference? How about every left-wing social media outlet that uses Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok? How about if every leftist that has their own webpage quit using Twitter? Stop using it altogether. Really punish Twitter. Or do you think that won't make a lick of difference? And that freedom of speech would really make a difference there? I think it should, folks. Hey, I love it. New York Times orders reporters to stop it. You don't like free speech at the New York Times? Pissant babies, right? Like the world needs the New York Times' socialist lies on Twitter. Folks, the New York Times feels their power, their influence slipping over a single board member. Wow, folks, they need a safe space to go cry and hug a big fluffy teddy bear and sob for their mommy commies and their dreams of the death of America. I love it. People are fighting back. And that mean evil oligarch, that mean evil oligarch, Elon Musk, right? His tweets are as bad as Trump's. I mean, do you think that Twitter is going to have to ban Elon Musk? It'd be kind of like Jack Dorsey being banned on his own company. Yeah, he's out of there, right? Good. And by the way, that sorry sack of shit the other day, that troll gnome looking fool of an idiot actually came out and half-assed apologized. It was like, I feel really bad about the censorship. And I'm paraphrasing. Right? Yeah, I probably went too far. Yeah, you think so? You stoned out dipshit. Unbelievable, folks. When I see someone like that, it's hard for me to believe they actually built and ran and administered an organization that grew to that size. It's almost as if it's being managed by someone else and they're just the front man, right? I wouldn't be surprised, folks. In fact, I'm not surprised by any of this. It's rather incredible, though. It is rather incredible. Everything that's going on is incredible. Florida lawmakers have said that Disney folks, and I want to shit all over Disney some more, have stepped in quicksand and made a drastic, unforced error. Now, right, there's pressure and difficult decisions and hard times and coin tosses to make decisions when you have a business. And then there's an unforced error. In other words, Disney didn't have to say anything about Florida, one of 50 states and one of hundreds of nations, right? It's one state out of 50 in a world with hundreds of nations. But Disney couldn't let one single law go without them saying some shit about it. That's why it's an unforced error. And folks, get this. Recent polling shows the overwhelming majority of Florida's primary voters, including, folks, a significant majority of Democrats, right? So guess what? Out of all of that, floods of people, floods of families are canceling their Disney memberships, right? To their amusement parks, to their streaming services, right? Hashtag boycott Disney. That's trending on social media, right? One of the largest mothers advocacy organizations in the US, Moms for Liberty. They warned Disney, right, of pushback it's going to face if it doesn't stop interfering with the law. So get woke and go the hell away, Disney, you bunch of freaks. It's unbelievable, but I love to see the pushback. I love to see that you and me, we're making a difference, folks. If we hadn't been doing this for 10 years and building organizations, tens of thousands strong, you're probably a member of this network, the Prepared Mind Network, other networks, the Alex Jones Network, name it. Name any social media network and group out there, and we're all interconnected. A lot of us know each other. The R Syndicate is another great networking organization. We've been busy for years fighting and not seeing any real advance, any real difference. Are you seeing it now? Are you seeing how powerful you can be, right? You prepare for yourself and then you help others get prepared. And then people are like, you know what? This feels pretty good. Taking charge of my own life. Now that I've got control of my life back, maybe I should tell those bastards in the Capitol to leave me the hell alone. And they're doing it. God bless them. It is going to be nothing but struggles, folks. Nothing but difficulty, whether you fight back or not. But if you don't fight back, we can't win. We can't win. We need to keep fighting back. I'm not going to lose. I'll go down fighting. Right? I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to say, well, if everyone else is fine with it, I am too. I think that's the attitude it used to be. If you're fine with it and you're fine with it, then I guess, well, who am I to argue? Who cares what anyone else thinks? Even if all these dumb bastards out here that I see want to go down the drain, right? The hell in a handbasket. I'm not going with them. Right? They're like, we're going to jump off the cliff, John. What are you, stupid? I'm like, yeah, I'm stupid. You jump off the cliff, you dumb fox. Unbelievable. Well, there they go. The ones that are jumping. See ya, Cracker Jack. See ya, Coca-Cola. See ya, Disney. See ya, Dick's. See ya, Walmart. Hasta la vista, baby. You don't have to do it, folks. And we are now pushing back. When they're passing laws, folks, like the Don't Say Gay law and the Heartbeat law, whether it's our name for it or their name for it, those laws are getting passed. Well, in Georgia, the governor there, they don't want to sign good laws that help the people. They don't want to. It's incredible, folks. Absolutely incredible. We're at the 30-minute mark. It is Thinkin' Thursday, folks, and it's time for Q&A. You can ask questions about a person, a comment, a statement, a subject, who, what, where, when, why, anywhere in the world, and we will address it. It's hard for me to imagine that there are things that I've missed and don't know anything about. But then again, you guys often find stuff and you email me, text me, fax me, message me. I get shit all day long. And a lot of times I'm like, well, where did you find that? That's some good stuff. We get that a lot. Thank you much. But, we got that. And you may want to play Stump the John, which is give me a lie and give me a truth and see if I can figure out which. Because this fantastic, bizarro world, folks, it's hard to know what is the truth and what isn't. For example, Ketanji Brown Jackson, the newly approved, Senate-approved appointee to the Supreme Court, is a communist and a pedophile lenient judge. Just lenient, not approving pedophilia, just very lenient on punishments. How can a left-wing commie in this day and age, folks, with everything that's being done to children, people in Florida are like, hey, that's enough of that shit. People in Ohio, hey, that's enough of that shit with our kids. People in New York and other states saying, no more masks on our kids. Quit screwing with our kids. And then this lady comes up, and that's just fine. I don't know. Let's see what you guys want to talk about.
Are you ready?
And we're back. And guess what? We are going to have a postponement for Sunday Night Live. It will be Monday Night Live. At least this weekend, I was given a forewarning, some family matters, some personal stuff to attend to. So I will be taking off Sunday night, but I will be back and we'll do Monday Night Live. We'll do regular Monday morning, right? And then we'll do Monday Night Live. So hold on to your hats, and I'll be taking notes all weekend, folks, and I know you'll be sending me messages. So thanks for the update and the warning on that, Jolene, to remind everyone. Yeah, just chill this weekend. Have a beer, barbecue, and prepare. So let's get to your questions. What do you guys want to talk about? We got Opie Waddell, and he says, I'm going to stump you, John. He said, real knowledge, number one, real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. 2, based on number 1, Uncle Buck is full of real knowledge. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. That's kind of philosophical there, right? Philosophical. Real knowledge is to know real things, right? I don't know how to answer this as far as a stump, Opie. Uncle Buck is full of real knowledge. Yeah, I think that's the lie. Uncle Buck. We're not talking about the John Candy movie. Not that Uncle Buck. I was just thinking Uncle Joe, Uncle Buck, right? Uncle Butt Sniff, Uncle Kid Sniffer. Yeah, talk about a pedophile in chief, right? He's older. So shouldn't he be wise and full of knowledge, real knowledge? The man the other day said he's a truck driver. The man the other day said he's a college professor. Well, he got a bunch of money, but he never taught anything. The man has claimed he was, a logger, a teacher, I think a butcher, baker, and a candlestick maker. Uncle Buck is not full of real knowledge. He's full of shit. That one is the lie. Woo! And he doesn't have any idea how ignorant he is. Number 1 is the truth. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. And Joe Biden, Uncle Buck, has no idea how dumb he really is. Neither do the Democrats, folks. Just listen to what they say. Moving along. Thank you there, Opie. Always fun playing Stump the John. Latin American Preparedness checks in. And he says, Russia and Ukraine account for much of food exports being cut off. Food shortages and protests are all over the world likely. Recently, Peru had protests over inflation. How soon will protests happen in the U.S.? Okay, Russia and Ukraine produce, I think, 20% of the world's grains. I think Ukraine alone is 18%. So I'm just kind of going to 20 to include Russia in there. They may bring it up to 25. I don't know. It's 20 to 25%. That, folks, that's a fifth or a fourth, 1/4 of all of the grains on the planet. That's corn, wheat, rice, barley, stuff they make bread and food out of, right? Those exports are going to be cut off. Well, Ukraine is kind of, are they their own thing? Is Ukraine in charge of Ukraine's produce and distribution? Right? Is that what Zelensky's fighting for? Or is Zelensky fighting to keep himself in power? Well, let's do this. Let me make some adjustments. There we go. Food shortages and protests all over the world. It has happened. This week I've reported on Sri Lanka. I've reported on the Middle East. I've reported on Peru, where they now have curfews because their protests were getting a little too energetic. They're protesting. They're starting to have some riots and violence over the inflation. And the inflation is caused by money, which has a very low value and a very high shortage. In other words, a lack of supply. So protests happening in the United States of America. Well, we are a first world nation and we produce all the food we need currently so far at this point. What that means is we're not going to have protests here anytime soon. But that can all change very quickly, can it not? I mean, the way things are going, I would say there won't be any protests anytime soon. We have enough reserve capital to buy food we want. We don't live and subsist on the levels that other countries do. Expect to hear more about protests and riots, curfews and shortages in third world countries, emerging market nations like Brazil and India. You should start hearing about parts of Africa having trouble. And then I think we would hear about problems in Europe, protests in Europe over high prices. And in America, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but not until things get far worse. I think we're very spoiled. We live well beyond our means, and that's coming to an end is the petrodollar, the value of the U.S. Federal Reserve note, the dollar that we use. That's why I call it a U.S. Federal Reserve note, because the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve Bank work together, but they've done a poor job of managing it, and it's coming, folks. Those chickens are coming home to roost. Now, as far as protests, just protests, not food riots, just protests. I'm going to predict that we're going to start hearing about people really getting mad at election time this November. But it won't be until the spring of 23 that it becomes apparently obvious that people are having trouble. Hopefully we have a Republican House and Senate with some real leadership, not scumbag McCarthy, not cocaine Mitch McConnell. Hopefully we have a real Congress, a real House and Senate with Republican leadership that's real. But I'm not holding my breath, folks. I'm not going to do it. I just feel that this deep state scumbag swamp of a city called Washington, D.C. is too mired in its own bullshit. So there it is. That's my opinion, Latin American preparedness. Who's next? Who's going to step up and club me with some questions and information? Heidi 12 says, did I just hear correctly that Peru lost power? That's incorrect. Bing. No points for Heidi. Actually, Heidi, it's Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico had their power plant power down. Their power supply, the whole island of Puerto Rico, the whole island nation. It's not an island nation. It's an island territory. It's not a state, but it is a United States government territory, a U.S. territory. Puerto Rico down there in the Caribbean lost power The story I read said there was a circuit breaker failure. And I suppose this circuit breaker is bigger than the ones we have in our garage power panel. But the circuit breaker failed, and so substations overheated and caught on fire. The power plant, I guess, caught on fire. Fireballs shooting everywhere. Sounds like an infrastructure problem. Sounds like they didn't really give a shit about their power system. Sounds like they've been irresponsible. Poor maintenance. Bad practices. Sounds like the same problem we have everywhere in the world with people in charge who are supposed to be responsible with money, but instead have sought to what? Enrich themselves and or do nothing for other people. That's what we get though, folks, is it not? That's what we're getting and hearing about. I mean, if countries like Sri Lanka, Peru, and many others, of course, had respectable leadership, respectable politicians who weren't corrupt and thieves, that spent the people's money properly and wisely and didn't blow it on stupid projects, if they didn't tax people, right? If they allowed people to prosper, I think that the world would be a better place. Sadly, it's not. Sadly, this is what we got. I mean, literally, it's 2022. Shouldn't governments everywhere be run on the most perfect computer systems that tell them everything and just how to do it? How to fix everything, how to maintain everything, how to cause things to grow? Shouldn't there be an AI computer out there that's smarter than humans to tell them how to run an economy properly? Right? I'm sure the computer program would be like, get out of everyone's way. Stop taxing everyone. Right? But it's hard to program a computer and let it know who's stealing what in the government, because the people in the government that are stealing and lying, they won't tell the computers that their lies are happening and their theft and corruption is going on. You know, they're not going to admit it even to the computers, so the computer can't fix what it doesn't know is broken. And here we are, folks. Computers are of no good to us with humans in the way. And don't worry, the same humans in the World Economic Forum, the Davos Bilderberg New World Order guys, they're just as corrupt, folks. So their computer systems they have control models that allow them to manage and succeed in enriching themselves, but it doesn't help us. There is no computer program that's going to come along and save the world, folks. It's just us. Computers can't grow food. They can't make bacon. Computers can't build a house. Computers can't mine resources. Computers just do what computers do. And that is what they're programmed to do, what they're programmed and told. All right, let's move on if we shall. See what else you guys want to talk about. I tell you, it is incredible, this Thinkin Thursday. This with everything that's going on. Let's see. Oh, I got a message from my kid. All right, Luke, I'll get back to you later. Eli in the Wolverine State says, food shortages were here before Russia got into Ukraine's civil war. It's interesting how you word that. Before I answer the food shortage, Ukraine's civil war. Didn't you hear, Eli? Russia, and Putin's bad. This is Putin's fault. It's all Putin. Well, he made a good point here. Yeah, there's a civil war going on there. There was a coup d'etat back in 2014, 8 years ago. That's when all this started. 8 years ago. Shoot, I take that back, folks. No, 8 years ago is right, 2014. That's when all this shit started. It was a civil war. It was an insurrection. It was a coup d'etat. It was a militant, violent takeover. And the guy named Zelensky, Voldemort Zelensky, yeah, he was the guy responsible. Well, at least he was put up front as their leader. Yeah, and that caused a civil war, which has caused nothing but problems ever since. There's been nothing but abuse, atrocities committed in Ukraine by Ukrainians. Yeah, that problem was there. Go ahead and keep that up if you would, Jolene. Helps prompt my thoughts. There were food shortages. Those were developing. Thank you. Those were developing long before Putin said, hey, we got a problem here. We're going to knock this shit off or else I'm going to get mad and fix things. Putin also, if you recall, when the United States of America, the government, rather, and the European Union was screwing with Syria, they were trying to overthrow the Syrian government. And Russia said, hey, that's an ally of ours, and we have naval bases there. And Russia stepped in, Putin did, and stopped the bullshit in Syria. This is who these people are, folks. They start shit. So yeah, there were food shortages. There were going to be fuel problems. Hell, food problems. In fact, they're predicting there are going to be shortages in China. We're going to have, what are they calling it? They got some word for the mega drought that's coming to the United States. That's going to be the worst in over 1,000 years. Is this like global warming, global cooling, global climate change, extreme climate change? It's more hysteria and hype. They don't know what's going to happen in the weather past 7 days. I mean, they can take a guess, but they can engineer the weather, folks. They can manipulate it to some degree. But to say that there's going to be a natural drought, bullshit. Oh, they're going to blame it on humans? Yeah, the ones in charge of the weather manipulation machines. But enough on that. We got food problems. We got fuel problems. We have energy problems. And the energy problems and fuel problems in Europe existed before Russia went in to deal with Ukraine and its lying, cheating, stealing, thieving, deal-breaking government under Voldemort Zelensky. Did I mention corrupt and thieving? Yeah, food shortages were a problem, folks. If you remember last year, we were saying, hey, you better get some food stored up because prices are going up. And we were talking about it, folks, last year. We were really talking about all of the problems that were going on. It's real. It's a real problem. Food and fuel, energy, and of course, yeah, cerveza bug was a problem. So they have death, as the four horsemen are out there. War, famine, and pestilence. And they're riding roughshod over the top of all of us. But don't worry, right? You got your mind, your thinking brain. All right. Thank you, Eli. Great topic. And we're going to have to revisit that topic again and again and again. Bonnie Blue checks in. Thank you, Bonnie. Always good hearing from you. And thank you for your help behind the scenes with your research. And she's got a true or false. True or false. This is kind of like Stump the John. All right. America is a racist nation and holds minorities back. Is that true or false? A racist nation. I'm going to say that's false. But then again, I'm a white male Christian, an old white male Christian who doesn't understand racism according to the CRT people, because I haven't accepted that I'm a racist and renounced it and punished myself and gone out and attacked other people for it. Yeah. So apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. So part two, or because America is racist, Stacey Abrams made $5 million in the past 4 years and is out of debt. You know what? I'm going to go a whole different direction with Stacey Abrams. I think she is a crooked, nasty, bad person. I think she's just nasty. I think she's crooked as fuck. She's a Democrat. She's from the state of Georgia. And I think she's corrupt. And that's how she got $5 million. Did she sell books? Did she do lectures? Did she write? Did she talk? I guess she made maybe $5 million in 4 years. But that would seem to serve as prima facie evidence, folks, that regardless of your minority position, right, you can get ahead. Now, of course, the latest Supreme Court nominee coming out of the White House, he said going in, the next Supreme Court justice is going to be a black woman. And lo and behold, we got it. So I guess gender and race do not hold you back, and America isn't racist, because is is that white guilt activism on the part of an old fossilized white guy. It's all a crock of shit, folks. It really is. I know we have subcultures in our country. I know we have different dialects and different attitudes, whether we're rural or urban or anything, name it. Right? I know there's differences. We all know it. But when you meet good people, you're good. When you're at a job and you meet competent people, or you have competent subcontractors or competent business associates, doesn't matter what they look like. You're just glad to have someone who's freaking competent for once. But, according to the left, America's racist. So never mind all of the things that are happening to make America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, the land of opportunity. If America was so racist, why did every nation on the planet, why are there people come here looking to make the American dream their dream, right? To open business, to educate themselves, to become better people, to live a better life, a higher standard of living. Could it be that the whining left, minorities, persons of color, and guilt-ridden socialist scumbags, could it be that they don't realize how spoiled they are, and that they should go maybe spend a couple of years in Mexico or Guatemala? Maybe they ought to go spend a couple of years down in Paraguay or Niger or Botswana. Maybe they should go and spend a little bit of time in Yemen, or maybe the United Arab Emirates, or maybe they should go to Sri Lanka or Indonesia and see how the world treats them there. Spend a couple years, then come back to good old America and see how they like it. Thank you, Bonnie Blue. That was kind of a fun little rope-a-dope discussion. Always, folks, there's so much to talk about with regard to shitting the fan, where we're at, how we got here, who's causing the problems, and what me and you should do to get over and get past it all. Well, we're going to need hip waders that come up to your chin, right? You're going to need a lot of clothespins because they're going to melt off of your nose from the stench of all the shit we're going to deal with. Really, folks, prep to action, get prepared, food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. We've got to have this all, folks. You got to have this all. These are great questions today. I know that we're having a lot of fun. Well, I don't know if we want to call it fun, but we're certainly discovering what is going on out there and how to get around it and deal with it. So, M. Collapso says, can you touch on Bill AB 2223? This apparently gives people in California the right to, quote, terminate a pregnancy up to and after giving birth. They are okay with murdering infants now. Infanticide is what that's called. I just call it murder. But touching on the bill, I will go so far as to say, that the people that have drafted this bill, and understand, folks, that politicians don't sit in their office and type up legislation. It doesn't happen that way. They have staff, and the staff does not type up legislation. At most, they'll have an idea. At the very most, they'll have an idea, and they'll share that idea with a lawyer. But for the most part, law firms out there, these liberal, left-winging law firms, and folks, lawyers are, by far and large, a great percentage, are liberal, leftist, social fascist, and communist scum. That's what they are. The American Bar Association is a left-wing scum organization. Southern Poverty Law Center, ACLU, they don't care about people's rights. They quit caring about people's rights when they got authority and power. Lawyers write up the legislation. Either they're prompted to do it or they do it on their own and then say, look at this bill of shit we gave you. This is some left-wing crap. You should present it. And the politicians, folks, they go, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's try this one in California. more gun control. Let's try this one, mandatory lockdowns. Let's try another one. Yeah, how about the ability to kill your baby that's born? Some lawyer wrote that up, folks. It wasn't scratched on the back of a frickin' napkin with a crayon. It was typed up on a computer, put on paper, printed, distributed. And these scumbag politicians look at that and go, that is some amazing good stuff. That's how it should be. You should be able to have an abortion or kill a baby. Hey, a week after the baby's born, a month after a baby's born, what's the difference? What difference does it make now, as Hillary liked to say about Benghazi and killing people? How about a year? Why not 5 years? Why not 10 years? Why not 20 years? And I know that's a slippery slope, false logic argument, logical fallacy to say this is a slippery slope you're talking about, John. We're just talking about being able to kill an infant that's a month old. That's all. No. It's not a slippery slope. The slippery slope argument was saying, well, in the event that a woman's been raped or her life is threatened by the pregnancy, then you can get the abortion. To make the claim at that point, way back then, that is an instance in which abortion may be necessary, right? And once again, should be done ASAP, not waiting 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 8.5 months, 9 months, or after the baby is born. It is, folks, a sign and a symptom and a symbol of the, dare I say, demonic and satanic left. They're showing us who they are, folks. To kill something is a sacrifice. Is something killed for food? That's one thing. If something is killed for another reason, what is it symbolic of? What does it represent? Are there other examples in human history where this has been done? For what purpose? Why? This is Satanism, folks. It is adversarial, which is what Satan means, adversary. It's adversarial to life. It is anti-life. It's the sacrifice of life. It is the sacrifice of innocence. This abortion, in my opinion, is the sacrifice of creation. We used to be told that women were the seat of creation, human creation, and that they were the ones responsible for the combination of genetics between a father and mother, a male and female, and that life grew within her, and that was sacred, and that the birth was sacred, and the nurturing mother feeding the baby was sacred, and mothers are good, and motherhood is to be respected and revered. Yeah, exactly. And what do we have? We have the opposite of that. The denial of motherhood is something good. The destruction of the life that's created. Right? This is an evil sacrament, in my opinion. Abortion is an evil sacrament. Unbelievable. They use the word terminate. Why don't they just put it in the fucking law that says murdering your baby is fine? You're good for 3 or 4 weeks afterwards. Don't worry, it could be 2 months or 3 months and we won't care. Go ahead and murder your baby. It should be called, right? Like they have the don't say gay law. That's how they termed the law in Florida. And they're like, no, this is about parental rights. Why don't we turn this around in California and say, this is it's okay to murder babies law, baby murder law. It is not the right to terminate. It's not abortion rights. It's murder rights. You can murder a baby before it's born, and now you can murder a baby after it's born. It's murder, and they know it, but they want to use sanitized terminology because that's how they are. Folks, we have a lot of trouble, a lot of problems. Get prepared, folks. It's not going to get better. They're going to push this. If it's okay to murder babies, it's okay to what? Lock you up? put you in a re-education camp, take your kids from you, take all your property, punish you, fine you, tax you, destroy you. Every one of those things I just mentioned is what the Democrats and the world globalist socialist people want. Except for themselves. They want protection for themselves. But for the rest of us, they want death and destruction. That's why you have to get prepared. You have to be informed, and you have to be willing to take action to help others. I think that's the right thing to do. The more of us that are awake and aware and prepared, the more we'll be able to resist, fight back when the times get even tougher. And they will. I'll see you for Friday and the Free for All Friday program. Until then, folks, chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi.